Blessings, 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 blessings be unto you. This is Mercedes Warrick, and welcome to the Sacredness of Healing, an affiliate program of sacredkey.com. Excuse me. So I'm going to start talking about holding the sacred ground, and I am going through the direction of spirit and my guidance. I will be honest with you. I recorded a whole long thing and it just didn't feel like it was coming from, I usually record an orientation video, audio video, and there's too much human in there, not enough divine. It was kind of like bullet point and everything. And then I had some questions. And so through this series of videos, those questions will be asked and answered through. And then I had a channel. I had a full-blown channel at 2:22 a few days ago, and most of my questions got answered. Some of the personal stuff I'm working through, and a large part of that is just the delivery of how to tell the story. And so that's where I'm going to begin this morning, is how to tell the story, how to tell, if you were suited for this. Suited for this task, I guess, maybe. So let's take a deep breath in and exhale, and just bringing ourselves together as one space. And breathing in, I am. Exhaling, you are. Inhaling, we are. I am. Amen, amen, and amen. I'm going to tell you a story. I needed to do a Walmart run, and I don't drive, so a lot of times I use Lyft or Uber, something like that. And my friends have been extraordinary, but I am trying to get a little bit more independent. So the last few months I've been going to Walmart via Lyft, and it's worked out. You know, it's just more money. It is an expense. But as my list began to grow this month, I realized that it was probably prudent to ask for some help. So I called a friend who just got a new car, and I hadn't ridden in it yet, so it was going to be all exciting. And I said, I need some help, and I want to ride in your car, and I haven't spent some time with you. I'd love to spend some time with you, but I do need to go to Walmart, and it is going to be a big shopping. So she graciously said, I'll be there. And so right as she was getting ready to come, a friend of mine who I hadn't heard from in a long time, she's part of the crew, and she's had a lot of life going on. I've just said, when she checks back in, I'll be grateful. She chose to check back in at 1 o'clock. And my friend who was coming to pick me up was delayed. She had sent me a text saying, I'm delayed, I'm going to be there in about a half an hour. And in between, this friend called, and let me tell you why this was so special. As we were going through the pandemic, there was a group of us, I call them the crew, and we would get together on Tuesday nights, and we would pray and listen to spirit and do what came forward, you know, and we supported each other. And how they supported me as I was facilitating all of this was they each had a role. It was never discussed, but one of them would take me to get my water. We live in Las Vegas, tap water's nasty. So one of them would take me to the water store. One of them would take me to Walmart. Priya, my German Shepherd, has some things that I can only buy at this one particular Walmart in my area. And another one would come and take me for grocery shopping. And then the other one, for 5 years, took me to the doctor once a month for 5 years. And it was never spoken. We never talked about it. So the friend who was the Walmart person was the one who called me at 1 o'clock yesterday. And I just smiled gently and said, thank you, Spirit. Thank you for taking care of me. And she said, oh, just call me back. And I'll call her back probably today or tomorrow. But it was just very interesting how the energies and the frequencies were so strong because it's been a long time since I've said I really need to get to Walmart. I'm running low on supplies or this or that. I mean, I had an energy of I've got to get to Walmart, and she picked it up in the frequencies and said, "That's my job." You know, I'm going to call her right now as she's going out the door to go to Walmart. Okay. So a long time ago, I had a vision. It's been, when I say a long time ago, I'd say a few months ago, I had a vision. And the vision was of Mother Mary, and she was carrying Jesus. And my guidance said, God makes the assignment. The job of carrying Jesus was left to Mary. It wasn't left to Jane or Sue. It was left to Mary. And the job of preparing Mary to have the frequency and the vibratory alliance to carry Jesus from fetus to embryo. I don't know how all the biology works, but fetus and embryo and all the different stages of being in a mother's womb, that job was left to Mary's parents, right? God gave them the assignment. And I want you to think about that. My friends were given the assignment of taking care of me in a certain way. I was given the assignment of holding space for them. And even as we went through COVID, it was so interesting. At some point, COVID touched their families and everything, but we would come in, we would come into the circle, we'd become encircled, and we would sit. And God gave me the task of holding the frequency, of holding the visual, of holding the high ground for these families and the rippling out of the families of the families of the families. And so what I would say to you is, for years and years, I have said, in through God, out through God. And what happens when you do that and you've had the experience of shepherding as a divine assignment somebody through their dark night of the soul, their horrible circumstance at the time, their tragedy and their trauma, their illness, my illness, you know, they held me up, right? It is a calling. It is a divine assignment. And so we can all pray for each other. We can all hold light for each other. And we can all be in a circumstance where we are literally, I'm going to say pouring our heart, but pouring the frequency and energy of our divine gifts into a person, a situation, an occurrence. That is a divine calling. And it may only happen once, and it may be your assignment. In my life, I have come to accept, because for a long time I had some real resentment about, why am I just sitting here? Other people are out here, you know, holding people's hands and rolling up their sleeves, and I had completely devalued my assignment. So we all have gifts. One of the people way early on, she gave me this phrase, and she said, "Is this mine to do? Is this mine to do?" Now I add, what is my assignment? Guide me, show me, use me. So that's the first, I don't know what we're going to call these. They haven't given me a thing, maybe a chapter, but that's the first consideration. Why don't we just keep it light? That's the first consideration. That is the first discernment. That is the first discernment. Is this mine to do? And if it is yours to do, and you're feeling like this doesn't feel like much, it's a tremendous assignment. Because this is the thing. When we're holding the high watch, we're not fixing anything. We're not pouring Reiki into a situation. We are literally sitting as a, I'm going to use the word that my guidance uses for me, and some of this may evolve as I'm doing these videos. I'll be honest. This is very new that I would even be talking about this. But it is holding the frequency, I call it, of the good and very good, and understanding that whatever is present is as it, I'm going to say, as it should be, as it is meant to be. Okay. The final story I'm going to tell in this video is mine. I was shown the gift of divine peace for a long time. Long time ago. Almost, like I say, decade ago almost now. And a lot of times I will say, is this worth my peace? And I will say, as I sit and watch the high ground, there is a tremendous sensation of going past the peace into just being. The phrase, just be here now. It is total presence in the moment that is. I'm going to say that again. Ononieshke now, thank you for that. It is total presence in the moment that is. And so in order to be in that space, it is by designation a space of neutrality, of knowing whatever is present is as it was divinely designed to be. So in my case, cancer arrived. I didn't know, I knew I didn't want to fight, all of the language about you can fight this, and I knew that if I was fighting, I would be tensing up my body. And then you go into the layers beyond the body, your energetic body, your energy field. And as I began to ask God to pour into me, if I'm not in a state of relaxation, then it gets stuck somewhere, right? So cancer was not worth my peace, right? So what I would say to you, and cancer showed up. Cancer has been a great instructor, teacher in my life. So is this worth my peace? And so as I sit in the high watch, I have no judgment about what is happening. There is no judgment about this is good or this is bad, or I wish it was this way, or I hope that these people, or I'm not in a mode of healer. What is appreciated, and that is the word that guidance is using, is that you have allowed the frequencies of the divine to be present. One of the questions that I had was kind of like, why me, why us? Like, why at this moment are we being asked to, am I being asked to talk about holding the high watch, to teach about holding the high watch, to offer perspective about holding the high watch? I'm not. I am an expert from the standpoint of I've lived it, but I'm not an expert from the standpoint of I've spoken of it, right? So I'm literally sitting, and guidance said, because we cannot touch the physical. So it's almost like as we're sitting in this space within our human self, because we live in this physicality, we are able to sit in the presence of God as the presence of God, to allow the designation of God to come forward. If I had said to myself, I'm going to fight this cancer, I'm going to do this, or I would not be here today. When I was a medical emergency in a hospital in grave condition, when everything came to a head, I would not be here today if I was fighting it. I can't fight. This is me. I choose not to. I won't say I can't. I choose not to fight against something that has taken up residence in my body. Okay? And because of that, literally the flow of calm and peace and knowing has allowed me to be in this moment at this time, and it has allowed me to have the grace to be present for myself. I cannot be present for others unless I am present for myself. So the final thing that I will say, I'm not going to tell the story in this video, I'll leave it for another video, is how can I put this? I'm gonna say it this way. I've never said it this way before, but I sit in communion and I hold the holy ground, the high watch for myself every day. And through spiritual hygiene, I'm in discernment about how I am, who I am, what is present for me in this moment. And I sit in that discernment because if for no other reason, when there is a broader calling, a broader calling to be in the world in this way, to be holding space and holding the knowing of the good and the very good, all that is present is only good and very good. That tragedy in Hawaii, how can you say that was good and I can't. That was a horrible human event. Tragic, gut-wrenching, horrible, terrifying. But as I was given, this was new, I was given the rhythm of life. I was given the breath of life. I pray this rhythmic breathing for a few minutes every day, because that was the undercurrent of life that was given to me to present into the frequencies of that event that is happening over there. That is going to continue to unfold. People are displaced, housing, and then you watch. If you really watch and hear what the people who are native to that area, the community of that area, how they are coming together to help themselves, that is the life force of the divine coming forward in operation, in action to bring and restore and uphold life. It is a sacredness. It is sacred ground. It is holy ground to stand in vigilance. Now, the other word that keeps coming up, impurity, in the purity of the Sacred Heart. And it is a very special gift to be able to stand in the purity of the Sacred Heart and not say, this is horrible, or that's horrible, this person's horrible, or that person's horrible, or this is, and I will even say, oh, that's great, that's terrific, that's tremendous. To sit just in the purity of the Sacred Heart and allow, in Genesis, and God said it was good and very good, allow that to come forward and become a presentation to the persons and to the person and the people that are in a moment, having a moment. Okay, so I think that is enough for now. There's a lot. The channel had a lot. That in the next video, I think I want to talk about. I'm going to tell you the story of holding the high watch for a very dear friend of mine, one of my oldest friends, and she was just not doing what I thought she was supposed to be doing, and I was very angry about it. And it was the first time, I'm going to cry, it was the first time that in my life, because we've got a very small family, it was the first time in my life I was afraid that I was going to lose somebody who was very dear to me. And I was trying to sit in channel and to hold the sacred watch, and I had to dispel that anger. So, and it was a minute. It was not, oh, I think I'm just going to sit down and get rid of this anger. It took a minute. That's all I'll say for right now. So I will tell you that story, and know that through our humanity, we are divinely graced. Being in the physical form is a divine creation. They're saying a divine recreation is like the rebirth. It is a divine recreation, to allow the consciousness of Source to become present, known, tangible, and felt. Can you imagine just not knowing where the strength to do these things that are happening in the moment? You don't know where they're coming from. They're coming because there are earth angels in prayer sitting to allow humanity to be present, to allow divinity to be present, to allow humanity to be present, to allow us to remember our humaneness, and to allow God to make the assignment. And when God chooses your assignment, when you really know that this assignment is flowing in and coming out through you, as opposed to you designing something, saying, this is what I'm going to do and this is how I'm going to do it. But even if you get called to say, I'm going to give somebody $20 because I think they really need it right now, or 200 or 2,000 or 2 million, and that is a divine calling, when it's coming from the head and not the heart, it's a different frequency than when it flows in and then you allow the gift to flow through you. Okay, well, that is enough for now. Blessings, 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 blessings be unto you. Namaste.